Hello, welcome to Heart Explain Therapy, and quick video on why the modern world is actually set up to give you worse or bad mental illness. It actually is currently set up where our future children are going to, first of all, misunderstand mental health altogether, but definitely have serious mental health problems, where mental health isn't just you reacting to certain things, it's going to be you reacting really badly and possibly being miserable unless you get lots of your desires met. And straight away, that's one of the first problems. We are set up to believe in this sort of tradition that you need to attain external desires for you to be happy. And I think we're under the illusion that if we get perfect situations in our life, we are going to get filled with this happiness feeling and it's going to stay there forever. Now, unfortunately, I know lots of wealthy people, rich people, and they are not happy. And I don't think that you can ever really get happy via wealth or via perfect sort of scenarios being complete, because the way that humans are set up, we have a psychology to constantly drive towards a purpose, and sometimes that void that you're really trying to fill can never be met with these external sort of attachments that we have in the outside world. There's a void that has to be met internally for you to really feel good. And basically, it's not even a happiness, it's a content with the world being the way it is. Now, the reason that we don't know this is because it's not taught to us. Unless you kind of stumble across the right information at an early enough age, you wouldn't understand this sort of aspect of being attached to desires externally. This is a kind of spirituality sort of knowledge, and we don't really class it as important, even though it has been part of our history for hundreds of years. Now, we could say a lot of the reasons that are obvious why we are so unhappy, and we can say that there's certain elements like social media, for one, a big downer for me unless you use it to your potential and use it in the right way. A lot of young people now view social media as something that, they see a lot of people, a lot of Instagram influencers or Facebook popular people, lots of videos that have a certain look, and this is a look that you should have. And they have designer clothes, and these are the designer clothes that you need to have. And there's lots of elements that sort of make somebody believe that that's the way that people live, that they are, they're always driving around in nice cars, and they're always getting everything they want, and it falls so easy to them. And there's lots of things that you're subconsciously taking in that will only ever make you feel negative because you don't have them, and it will make you sort of drive to have them, thinking once you've got them you'll be happy. And if you see the videos in a different perspective, you see that they're not enjoying their reality because they're still making a film about it. I've seen a lot of people now, even spiritual people, who can't even go for a walk in the countryside without getting their mobile phone out and recording and having a sort of chat to the sort of net world. And you see that there's something just missing for them, and we can go into so many areas of this, the stuff that makes us feel uncomfortable and makes us feel bad, and unconsciously we don't know it's wrong. I did a survey recently on my Instagram account about, is alcohol bad for mental health and physical health, yes or no? I put it out there and people said no. It was Like, I can't believe how one person doesn't know, even if you enjoy it, it doesn't matter if you enjoy it and you want to do it. The statistics for alcohol is that it's a depressive drug and it makes you feel high for a short amount of time, and it's going to make you addictive to that short-term high. But it was a sort of survey to show how people are unconscious, that it's okay to drink and have a lot to drink if you want. It's not a problem, it's not illegal, so it's okay. And we can go into thousands of sort of subcategories like this, but I want to just focus on this void, that all that is really trying to sort of meet or fill. And I think there's only one real sort of substance that can fill that void for you, and it's nothing to do with the external world, it's to do with you. And I'm going to tell you a few examples now of what I'm talking about. If you feel that you are okay and great, and you carry out your actions every day, knowing that you're perfectly fine, you're doing the best to your ability, you're trying hard to succeed, but if it doesn't happen, you're going to enjoy failure just as much as success, then you found a good place where you've got strength, inner strength. Now what this does is means you're not going to get offended when anybody says you're wrong or you're bad, or when they disrespect you, or when they're jealous of you. You're not going to care, you're not going to be sensitive to other people's feelings and emotions. Now the one thing about 21st century psychology is it's all about saying you're okay, you're fine the way you are. Now the truth is, on a certain level, that's accepting somebody for all their flaws, and I understand the psychology behind it, but there's something that's wrong with that, because you're not perfect. It's impossible to be a perfect human being. You've got so much knowledge to learn. You've got so much education to still have. You've got the old inner child that is still fragile and traumatic. You've got to solve all their problems first. You've got your emotions that are constantly controlling you every day, and you've got to get on top of that. So to say that you're okay the way you are when your external world isn't making you feel comfortable, which I doubt it really is all of the time. And I feel that that sort of psychology means that it's acceptable for you to be controlled by your emotions up and down. That sort of psychology is saying it's okay to feel bad and it's perfectly natural, when it's not really. When there's another choice, there's another place that exists where you can feel comfortable with thoughts and feelings, for instance, or desires not being met, or the fact that you are trying to attain something, but you're so happy with the just trying part that that makes you feel good enough that if the dream never becomes reality, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter not because you've tried and the opportunities didn't happen, or you didn't try hard enough, but because you're already living the dream. And I don't think that many people even know that this world is a place that they can exist in. They're so used to just feeling crappy and down, and then turning to their distractions in the external world, that they've forgotten this feeling of being in the moment, for instance, just being completely present, and the confidence that this can bring, the esteem that you can have, where you're not nervous in situations, or you're not accidentally talking bad about yourself out loud or in a dialogue. Some people won't say their opinions, and some people say too many opinions, and we live in this society where this is just right, where someone can come out and speak about a certain subject and it fits a majority of the external narrative. But if anybody has a counter argument, we just don't want to listen to it. And then we turn into these sort of dark animals and trolls that just end up bullying and saying ridiculous stuff, completely unconscious that your idea might not be, I mean, it doesn't even matter about it being right or wrong at this point. When you don't listen to someone else's opinion, do you see how that means that you can't really validate your opinion? If you don't understand that everybody's belief is their own belief and is right in their own head, if you don't understand that fundamental rule, then you have no right to say someone disagrees with your personal opinion. And the world is just very simple. It's a mere reflection of yourself. And this isn't about if you give out unconditional love, you will get it received. It means that if you give out unconditional love, you don't care if you get it back. There's a big difference to that. That's a part where you accept, understand, and forgive people simultaneously, instantly, at the time of the awful act, even in just dialogue or a remark. And you're able to sum it up, do the inner work yourself, right there and then on the spot, or come away from the situation for days and work on what's offended you, and come back and realise that you was just silly, you was just daft. But the world isn't set up to teach you this education. It's set up to give you loads of candy in a candy shop. And it's all dazzling, it's all bright light, and it's just saying, if you come and purchase this, if you come and sort of try and pick something out that you really like, you'll have this void filled forever. And you can ask millionaires this, you can ask loads of people. This isn't true. Now, what the modern world does is makes you believe that wealth is a higher goal than health, and vanity is a higher sort of position in the world than humility, and it's better to be sort of bold and fierce and aggressive and sort of arrogant than it is to be quietly, subtly confident. So what we need to learn is why these subjects matter and why it's important. And it's important to fill this void for your own inner growth, to finally grow up and stop being this inner child and acting erratically, which you do. And even if you think that certain things are positive in your life, have a look back throughout the days and tell me the feelings that you have. And I'm sure that you're hyper high if certain needs get met, and I'm sure that you stoop down to a low level if certain things go wrong. And what I'm saying is there's a place where you can just always be really content with the madness and the nonsense that happens around you. Because there's one thing for certain which education doesn't really teach you, and your parents try and avoid from, telling you. And that is that the average 80-90 years that you live is going to definitely be filled with certain amounts of heartbreak. And because they avoid telling you about this heartbreak, you don't know how to react to it when you get it. So you react in a way that just produces more fears, more traumatic feelings, and you're forever living in a state of heartbreak, or 50% heartbreak, or 70% heartbreak for the rest of your life. And you're quite lucky if you don't turn out to be a bitter and resentful sort of old person. And the point of this is that we need to break away from external pleasures and understanding that the external world has lots of great bits of candy that we can look at and aim for. But if we just live in the moment and enjoy our life like we have all our needs met, like our dream is just waking up in the morning and being present in this world, regardless of the amount of money that you earn, regardless of if your friendships are all perfectly intertwined that day. If you do the maths, these things aren't going to work out perfectly externally, no matter what amount of money that you have. But if you gain intelligence, if you gain this loving feeling inside where you just be your own mother and father and be your own best friend at the times of crisis, you can live with this content feeling for sustained periods of the day. Suffering will arise and you won't crash and burn for days on end, or you won't get diagnosed with antidepressants because of a certain set of events. And when someone says maybe antidepressants don't work, you won't be offended by that because you believe in the GP so much. You will open your mind and say, okay, what's the alternative? Now, there's a part 2, part 3 maybe coming up to this, but I think that's just getting the sort of rules out there of really how to live and why it's important to fill this void internally, so you don't need anything coming back from the outside world.